Look, I know it's early, but for those who are up on a Saturday morning, we wanted to do this live with you. One, to present the 2026 proposed budget that I've just shared with the Birmingham City Council this past Tuesday, along with the public and the media. This is an opportunity to just go deeper in the proposed budget as well as answer any questions you may have related to the budget. So I'm actually looking up something right now as people continue to come in. So just bear with me for 1 second. So first of all, I want to just share with people, you can go to birminghamal.gov, where you can find the proposed budget online. Of course, I got a printed copy right here, but everyone doesn't have that. I got some other notes in front of me as well detailing this proposed budget. But again, I want to encourage you, if you're looking for more information, you want to know more about what boards, what agencies are included in this budget, what we're focusing on, detailed breakdown for employees, as well as what we're doing for departments and other things related to neighborhood revitalization. You can go to birminghamal.gov and you click on it, and you can see the 2026 um, proposed budget for the city of Birmingham. With that said, today I want to talk about not only where we've been, I also want to talk about where we're going. Look, it's no secret we've made some real progress. Violent crime is down, police recruitment is up, continued investments in our city's infrastructure continues with this proposed budget, and so many other things that everyone cares about. So I want to get into it. This year's proposed operating budget is $591 million. Again, this year's proposed budget is $591 million. Now, I think it's important to kind of break that down because that's a big number. But the way to break it down in words is just to simply say this proposed budget reflects, I believe, our shared priorities. That's for neighborhoods, public safety, and dignity for everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone included in this proposed budget. How do we support and invest in our unhoused residents in our community where we've seen an increase in our unhoused community? I want to start with something that's always top of mind for literally the majority of the residents in the city. Doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in, and that is street paving. This budget reflects a proposed $15 million for paving our streets citywide. And if you want to break down what that actually means, that's about 72 miles worth of paving citywide. And so every district, 1 through 9, will receive some form of paving. This paving will likely begin in 2026 because the 2025 budget that we're currently in that ends June 30th, there's also 15 million in it for street paving. If you keep up with our social channels or our website or any other channels we communicate in, we recently shared about a week and a half ago the streets we will be paving districts 1 through 9 in 2025. But this proposed budget continues to add on that, and it matches the current number of 15 million. I think that's important to note because when you look at the time since we've been in office, with this proposed budget and everything we've done in the past, we have put in $114 million in street paving. I think that's important to note because that's probably more than combined all three of my predecessors together, what we spent out of the general fund related to paving streets. It has been a priority. It will continue to be a priority. The other thing is I want to talk about blight removal. Blight removal has been a challenge since before I was mayor, and it's been a challenge since I've been mayor. Every year we put in a minimum of $1 to $1.5 million in our budget to support more blight removal. And when I say blight removal, this is a majority, probably 99% private property. The unfortunate thing is that we have to use your public tax dollars when private owners don't do their responsibility. So in this 2026 proposed budget, we're actually offering some additional funding, an increase of $500,000. So a total of $2 million is proposed for additional blight removal in this budget. As you see, just since January 1, not including this budget, we basically torn down some blighted structure, either a home or a multifamily complex, or even an abandoned church or a school, at least once a day. Well over 120 plus properties were torn down since April. This is May, so I don't even have the additional number. But if you do the simple math, we're right at averaging tearing down one blighted structure a day just since January 1 of this year. The other thing that's really, really important to residents is sidewalks. Now, sidewalks tend to fall into two camps. People either want their existing sidewalks repaired or they want new sidewalks. I have to be honest with you and tell you the administration has made repairing existing sidewalks a priority because there's such a extensive backlog in repairing our sidewalks. So many times we find that nature just simply wins. A lot of our sidewalk issues stem from the tree winning. I call it nature one, and I call it nature one, and I call it the sidewalk zero. Nature's always going to win when the roots are just aggressive as they need to be or want to be, and they simply just break up the concrete of the sidewalk. And so because of that extensive backlog, we're proposing an additional $1 million in this proposed budget that is, for repair of more sidewalks. We've done a study, we've done a plan. James Fowler, who leads the Department of Transportation, can share more with you about what it means to repair our sidewalks. The other thing in this budget is street calming. That's CALMING. We get requests after requests for additional stop signs, traffic lights, speed humps, speed cushions. Those requests never ever stop. And when we get one, there's an entire process that the Department of Transportation goes through to vet, assess, and investigate if this certain intersection, street, or block warrants a yield sign, an additional stop sign, a traffic light, or speed cushions. Again, this is also in the queue for proposed $500,000. We believe this $500,000 is not for new requests. It's simply for outstanding requests that we have not been able to fund. And so as this gets underway, we hope to keep focusing and investing in street calming. And then this budget also includes recycling. When you add up all that math I just named, that's $21 million investing just in simple city infrastructure and neighborhoods spread out throughout the entire city council districts 1 through 9. And so I think that's important to note. Now, I need to pull up a note here, so forgive me. I also want to talk about, I'm about to switch to paper. I also want to talk about something that's very, very important, public safety. When I came on this live, I shared with you that violent crime is down. As a matter of fact, year to date, as it relates to, what's today? I think May 23rd, 2025, compared to May 23rd of 2024, homicides are down well over 40%. That is a major testament to Chief Michael Pickett and the Birmingham Police Department. It's a testament to Uche Bean and Councilwoman LaTonya Tate and the City Council related to all the violence reduction initiatives we've invested in. And it's a testament to you, the public, who've stepped up, who you've called 911, you've called Crime Stoppers, you've assisted not just BPD officers on the beats, but you've assisted detectives in helping us not only solve cases, but make arrests. The truth is, just even with the homicides this year, we've made so many arrests. The clearance rate, defined by actual making arrests post a violent crime, is literally 79%. That is higher than, well above the national average, which is hovering around 50%. So BPD are doing what they're supposed to do. We believe a lot of this is based on some initial funding we had back in October with the $16 million recruitment and retention plan. That money allowed us to invest in an aggressive effort to not only recruit more officers, but to retain the ones we have. I'm happy to tell you that there is a current class of 50 officers who started April 7th in the police academy. When you add on all the officers we've hired since November, um, that's about 90, right at 90 officers, either through hiring new recruitment or lateral transfers. That 90 is a goal we've had between November of 2024 and December of 2025, hiring 100 officers, and we're already at 90. This does not include the new class that will start in July, and this does not include the class that will be this fall as well. So we have two more police academy classes. I want to encourage our residents, if you have an interest in serving your community, this is a good time to do it. But the truth is, related to violent crime, related to crime in general, we can't always arrest our way out of crime. So this proposed budget, on top of the police budget, which is $128 million, includes violence reduction initiatives that we have already started. Recall that we've received a lot of federal grants and we've received a lot of ARPA funding that has allowed us to start some outreach and street team initiatives to go out and address crime, not necessarily from an enforcement standpoint, but those who have been in the life, those who are out of prison, those who are former gang members or drug dealers, have been trained and are in the community right now, interceding and suppressing and de-escalating issues and retaliation that increase the back and forth between residents in our city. As you can see, it's been impactful because, as I've stated, homicides are down 40%. So with this work, we're going to add an additional $1.5 million on top of about $5 million that's already been committed to addressing violence reduction initiatives, which is different from policing. I think that's important because I got some notes here. Organizations such as One Hood, which is a citywide initiative, the Hospital Link Violence Intervention Expansion, which is led by OAA, that's Offender Alumni Association. These are formerly incarcerated people who are able to engage those who were shot, go into the emergency room and discharge, but before they're discharged, to engage them to make sure they don't come back out in the community and go back and forth with the person who shot them. That type of work has worked in other cities, where other cities have seen a de-escalation in violent crime. So we're applying that same method here. Again, I want to shout out Uche Bean and Latanya Tate, OAA, and One Hood for all the hard work they're doing on the ground as it relates to decreasing violence in our community, and clearly it's working. But I also want to talk about prevention. One of the best ways of prevention is youth investment. I don't think there is anything more important that a city government can do than to make the necessary investments in the youngest generation. The city of Birmingham is happy with and proud of our partnership and relationship with the school system led by Dr. Mark Sullivan. And so on top of $86.6 million that we give the school system from ad valorem property taxes, this budget includes close to an additional $6 million to support our youth. I want to break what that proposed almost plus $6 million is on top of the 86 million. $2 million of that is the Birmingham Promise. Now, this is a good time to pause and just say a super, super congratulations to every single high school graduate of all 7 high schools plus the virtual academy. I had a chance this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and yesterday, to literally sit at every single high school graduation. I sat on the stage and was able to look in the eye of every single graduate. I can tell you Birmingham's future is in great hands. The future is bright. These young people know what they want to do. And for those who don't know what they want to do, we're going to continue to help them. But we are very encouraged by what we've seen over the last 3 days. These young people, for those staying in the state, for those who will attend a 2-year or 4-year state college or state university, will be able to attend tuition free. These young people don't even include the 1,600 the Birmingham Promise has already supported. So shout out to Samantha Williams and her team at Birmingham Promise for doing amazing work. Shout out to all the sponsors and donors who make Birmingham Promise successful. We keep and continue to hear from mothers and grandmothers and big mamas who say, but for this program, we would struggle to either send our child to college or for them to remain there. So again, we're doing an additional $2 million in the proposed budget. But mental health is important for our children. So is financial literacy, so is conflict resolution. And so in each of these categories, financial literacy, proposed 1 million. Mental health, an additional 1 million. Conflict resolution, because we have to train and teach the next and youngest generation to not pick up guns, because we have to be honest with them. Conflict will always be with us, but it doesn't mean you have to necessarily solve it by picking up a gun. So teaching our children while they're in school and at every level, not just high school, K through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9th through 12th, conflict resolution is so important. In addition to that, we are focused on early childhood education. We have to support and invest in the foundation. It's probably nothing better than if you want a successful school system, K through 12, what you do between birth to 5 years of age makes the best and most positive impact. So we're supporting Small Magic, formerly known as Small Talk, in this proposed budget. We've just given them $750,000. We're adding on an additional $250,000 in this proposed budget to support. So literally right at 1 year, almost sorry about that. It's my watch going off. Almost $1 million. And that actually right at $1 million in supporting additional efforts for early childhood education. Shout out to Ruth Ann Moss and her team for all the work they do. But we're not done. Our kids need to work this summer. We have our Kids and Jobs program on top of the Birmingham Promise, which is in this proposed budget. In addition to that, we have safe havens at our recreation centers. And then we're doing something new that we will roll out in detail before this month ends or early June. And that is a new youth sports league. I think we know every summer in the fall, there has not been the best coordination or efficiency around youth sports, particularly around football and or baseball. So there's been an active partnership between the city as well as the private sector, as well as those coaches in youth sports, as well as park and recreation. This combined effort allows us to roll out something new that we will support with some initial seed funding of $500,000 in this proposed budget. In addition to that, the private sector will support this new effort as well to have the best coordinated, best programmatic thing we can do for youth sports in our city that works for our children, our athletes, and their families, and more to come on that. That's a lot of words, but I think it was important to share that. I got a couple more points I want to make, and then we're going to open it up for any questions you may have. We got to talk about homelessness in our community. We have seen an uptick in homelessness in our community. We believe it's for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is because some young people simply age out of state custody, and they don't necessarily have any form of transitional housing related to a family or extended family or friends in our community. The other is we continue to see some of our veterans have some struggles and tough times, and City of Birmingham appreciates this partnership with Veterans Affairs, but we got to continue to lean in on that relationship and partnership to make better, provide better resources and housing opportunities for our veterans. But then there's a third factor that we have to talk about and make public because a lot of people just don't know. When I meet one of our unhoused residents, I always ask two things: what's your name, where are you from? The last few years, people are very honest. They tell you where they're from. I notice the majority of the people who are unhoused in our community are not from Birmingham. And so from time to time, I ask how they get here. And they're honest. They get dropped off here. They get a bus ticket here, or another municipality's police department drop them off in our city limits, which is not right, by the way. And then there's a certain segment who enter, maybe unfortunately, the psychiatric ward at UAB. And then when they are discharged, they end up on our city streets. So all those things combined has caused an uptick in our unhoused community. It is the city's responsibility, we believe, to respond to how we help. We believe this responsibility is not the city's alone. We believe it's in partnership. I'm very happy to say there are amazing organizations that exist in the city. I don't have time to name them all on this live, but from the Firehouse Shelter to Jimmy Hill Mission and everyone else in between. So don't be mad who I did name. Again, it's too many of you all that are doing impressive and amazing work. Through our community development block grant dollars, we've already do about from $9 million in CDBG funding. A few millions of that is directed towards how do we support our unhoused community with emergency shelters and housing and beds. We're going to add on an additional $1.5 million in this proposed budget to address some of the uptick in services for our unhoused residents. We believe there's an organization that exists called One Heart. It's known as Urban Alchemy. This is an on-the-ground street team separate from the street violence team that you can call that literally can go out and address a lot of the homeless and unhoused residents that are on our city streets. Because 90% of the interaction for our unhoused community is not violent in nature, it's not criminal in nature, and it doesn't require a police officer. And so we've seen Urban Alchemy in other cities do impressive, amazing work. And so we're going to add some additional funding for this as well. One last topic before I open it up. Again, there are other topics we can discuss, such as the libraries are fully funded, such as the public transportation. We're doing, I think, $13 million for BJCTA, $2 million for $2 or $3 million. I could be wrong. I should just look. I got a cheat sheet. $3 million to be exact for bus rapid transit, which continues to grow. $11 million for BJCTA, and we're doing an additional $2.5 million for microtransit via. That's important to note because we need multi-modes of public transportation, not just our traditional buses. So we'll continue to invest in public transportation because we got to make sure people can get to work from point A to B, to school, their doctor's appointments, etc. I'm gonna leave you with this. Nothing we do at City Hall, it cannot be done but for our workers, our city employees on the front line. So this budget also includes an increase of 1% cost of living adjustment for them, 5% merit pay for those eligible, as well as longevity pay for some of our senior employees who are eligible as well. No increase for health insurance. The employer, City of Birmingham, is absorbing that cost for our employees. And the retiree system, which is our pension fund, this budget will support it at $40 million. That's a lot I just said. So I got some teams on the other side of the screen. They're going to assist me on any questions you all may have. And I can stay here for, I guess, a considerable amount of time and answer most of them. If we don't get to all of them, no worries. Today, we will ignore those who don't have a question. So forgive us because we don't have time. So your statement, if you put it in question form, what I commit to you is to get you an answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. And if we don't get to all the questions, we'll find ways to get you an answer. With that, team, this screen has gone whatever. So I can't see any questions here. Maybe I can pull it up on my cell phone. Try to turn this volume down. All right. From viewer Eric Hall, does this budget directly invest money into BCS or just indirectly through city funded programs? So as I've stated, this year, let me just give you the number first. City of Birmingham has property taxes, ad valorem taxes that we give directly to the school system. So the question was directly, indirectly. Well, it's direct. School system's budget is made up of 4 pots of money. 1, city property taxes, 2, state funding, 3, federal government, and 4, some forms of grants. So a significant portion of that funding comes directly from the city of Birmingham at 86, to be exact, at $86.669 million. On top of the $86 million, we're doing an additional almost $6 million, as I've described earlier, for those additional programs such as Birmingham Promise, mental health, financial literacy, conflict resolution, safe havens, kids and jobs, et cetera, other programs. So again, I know I got some opponents out there, particularly one in particular who just likes to lie, who says we give zero funding to the school system. That is what we call an absolute lie. And on this live, you are now armed with the facts that in this current year we're in, $86.669 million that we will give to the school system as it relates to supporting the classroom and education. From viewer Sydney Michelle on Instagram, what's happening with public transportation? As I've stated, I think Charlotte Shaw, first let me say the public transportation is its own system. The city of Birmingham does not run the actual public transportation. It has its own separate board with its own organization, with its own executive director. The city of Birmingham believes in partnership, though. We should fund it at a level that assists and helps with public transportation. But we're not the only funder. They have other forms of funding and financing as well. But for our financing, Sydney, we give, again, three different things. We give $11 million to the traditional bus system. For the bus rapid transit, which is the Birmingham Express, we give an additional $3 million. And then we are shifting away microtransit from the city and allowing the BJCTA to lead its effort. And we're going to fund that at $2.5 million. So if my math correct, this is about $15.5 million we're doing to support public transportation. Sydney, like you, we believe public transportation should be efficient, but we believe public transportation should not be isolated to one mode, a fixed bus route and buses. Our citizens deserve to have multi-modes and multiple options of public transportation. The unfortunate part is that the state of Alabama, because of its 1901 Constitution, does not give any state funding to public transportation. So much of it is depending on the city, and then we get some gap funding from the federal government. But if the state really was committed to workforce development, if the state was really committed to economic development, it would know that you have to include transportation because everyone does not have a vehicle, whether they live in urban Alabama, such as a city like Birmingham, or rural Alabama. Investing in public transportation from the state would be a game changer to help people get from point A to B in our city and in our state. Let's see, the next question from Harry Long. What's being done about homelessness downtown? Harry, I hope you were listening to what I've just shared about kind of how we've gotten here around homelessness. But we put some things in two buckets. If it's a non-criminal behavior, which is the majority of the behavior, if it's illegal activity, Urban Alchemy can assist in helping those who are on our streets unhoused with resources, directing them to organizations, etc. I'm going to need somebody to help me get a number to Urban Alchemy so we can list it and post it in the chat. The other thing is, if it's criminal in nature, we want you to call 911, period, and we will be able to assist. The bottom line is, though, we have to continue to increase housing options. We did a good job of that in the first term as far as expanding the emergency beds. We now have to move to short-term housing and midterm housing, and we're doing that in the form of, at some point, going vertical with micro shelters and pallets for our unhoused residents. There's a question here from, I think her name is Miss Shanikia Wiley. So forgive me if I mispronounce your first name, Miss Wiley. The question is, can you explain how the Birmingham Promise works, what it pays for, and what it doesn't? So the Birmingham Promise is a program centered around two things, opportunity and exposure. The Birmingham Promise is a public-private partnership. It was founded in November of 2019, so it has existed for 5.5 years. In the 5 years of graduation, it has supported 1,600 graduates to be able to attend any state 2-year, 4-year college university. So think Alabama A&M, Alabama State, think UAB, University of Alabama, Auburn, Montevallo, Jacksonville State, Troy, so many other schools I haven't named, 2 years, such as Jeff State, Lawson State, Shelton State, and any other state. That's a 2-year college. This program it covers tuition free. So as long as the institution of higher learning accepts you, you live in the city limits of Birmingham, and you graduate from Birmingham City Schools, you can participate in this program. There's no ACT requirement. There is no SAT requirement. There is no GPA requirement. Majority of our young people who attend this program are first generation college students. So, but for this program, many of them would not be able to attend. The other thing is, I said it's a public-private partnership. So we have received about, I don't know, probably well over $15 million in private funding. And then separate from that, the city of Birmingham over the last 5 years has put in $10 million on the workforce side of this. So the city, your public tax dollars go towards apprenticeships, workplace learning, internships, etc. This combined working and being able to attend higher and get higher learning, again, those two words centered around opportunity and exposure. So it's a really great question. Let's see. Are the libraries getting funded in this budget? Yes, the libraries actually have an increase of about $2.6 million over the last 2 years. Look, this is a good time to pause. This because it's just so much misinformation, disinformation out there. The library, along with so many other departments, during COVID, literally in 2020, budgets were cut. But their budgets have not been cut since then. And there's this crazy notion that we don't fund the libraries. It's just not true. Again, you can go to birminghamal.gov, look through the budget process. You can see it with your own eyes what we're funding the library. So I know a lot of people are having a hard time believing we're funding the library, but just check it out for yourself because the information is available online. And again, we've increased the library funding by $2.6 million over the last 2 years. Let's see. Diane Martell asked about sidewalks. Are potholes being filled? So again, I'm explaining, Ms. Martell, sidewalks. This budget will include $1 million to support repairing existing sidewalks. So we're honest, this proposed budget doesn't include any additional funding for new sidewalks, but it does include funding to repair sidewalks. In addition to that, are potholes being filled? The answer is yes. You can simply call 311, or you can do our city's website and put it in. We have a pretty fast process, believe it or not, on how we not only track, but fill potholes. So if you got one, street, cross-section, intersection, please let us know. This question is, why are homicides down? Well, that's a really good question. Let me start with some facts. Again, homicides are down. Homicides are down by 40+%. And the clearance rate for this year's homicides, which means an actual arrest has been made, and those who are killing people are not just walking our streets, is right at hovering 80%, 79% to be exact. Again, that is kudos, and that's impressive work from BPD. As Chief Pickett told you, the Birmingham Police Department is locked in. They are extremely aggressive in what they are doing, how they're taking a different approach to policing in our community. We've had a significant increase in technology with the Real-Time Crime Center, from citizens being able to get their cameras from their exterior of their home plugged into our system, as well as additional infrastructure related to technology. But separate from technology, people are stepping up. Just shout out to the community. This proposed budget also includes a significant increase in funding for Crime Stoppers. Citizens are stepping up. They are calling Crime Stoppers. They're calling 911. They're talking to beat officers. They're talking to investigators, homicide detectives. They're sharing information. When you share information, it doesn't allow the criminal element to be emboldened, and they can just hide behind fear people. We don't have the luxury to be intimidated. This is our community, and what I see is residents stepping up. So it's just a shout out to the community. People want to know why crime is down. It's because the community is doing their part. And I want to say thank you, one, and two, encourage you to keep speaking up because the criminal element is definitely on notice. If you shoot somebody in the city and or if you kill somebody in the city, you will be arrested. And we believe all of that is a combination. And on top of that, the violence reduction initiatives with the street teams out in the field, talking to people, de-escalating situations, and decreasing retaliation. All of those things combined have led to decrease in homicides. Took us a while to get here. Of course, we know how hard 2024 was, but I want to be very clear with you. 2025 is not 2024, and the work is in the pudding, and you can see the results. And so, again, just shout out to the community, police department, the street teams, and everyone else on the ground doing the work. Let's see. Youth employment. So I want to talk about it. One of the things we believe led to the increase in crime in 2024 was an unfortunate formula. This unfortunate formula says that Black boys not in school plus young Black men unemployed equals higher crime. And so what we've done is laser like focus on those two things. This partnership we have with the school system is so important as it relates to Everyday Counts initiative. That is to make sure young people aren't skipping school, parents aren't just saying their kid can stay out of school, but how do we encourage parents and students to go to school? If the more likely you're in school, the less likely you will be in the streets committing crime. And I'm talking about August through May, we need butts in the seats. Parents, your children have to go to school. So the Everyday Accounts initiative in partnership with the Housing Authority, school system, private sector, and the city of Birmingham has been very helpful because we have to decrease truancy and chronic absentees in our school system. That has a direct reflection. A direct correlation in decreasing crime. But I told you, plus young Black men unemployed. There's nothing more important in this administration than making everyone in the city, I don't care if you're Black or white, male or female, gainfully employed for our adults. But this is a majority Black city. That is a fact. So that's not something we should run from. That's not something that we should not acknowledge. We need to lean all the way in on it. The truth is, there's too many Black men in our city unemployed, young Black men. And so what we got to do in partnership with the private sector, in partnership with employers, is do what I've encouraged, which is the following. A livable wage in the state of Alabama in 2025 is $22 an hour. And so the team has been working on a robust plan to partner with employers to say, if you hire them and pay these young Black men $11 an hour, the city of Birmingham, through a workforce development plan, will match that $11. We think that's important because the more young Black men we can employ, more young Black men gainfully employed, not only equals lower crime, but it equals more opportunity for that individual, for their family, and for their community. So this is the right thing to do. It also goes towards our workforce development and economic development plans of making sure we have a ready-made workforce in our city. So this is something we will do. Let's see. What can we do to improve bike safety downtown? I think the biggest thing is, I'll start with complete streets. I don't believe bike safety should be isolated to downtown. Bike safety should be for all 99 neighborhoods because people ride bikes in more than one neighborhood. With that said, shout out to President of the Birmingham City Council, Dr. Darrell O'Quinn, who co-led an effort with my Department of Transportation and the administration to do what's called complete streets. So the beauty of that is when we invest so much money in street paving, when we go redo a street, we redesign the street to complement all modes of transportation. We want to remind our viewers that City right of way and streets are not just for vehicles. They're also for busing. They're also for cycling and other modes of transportation, and the sidewalks for walking, etc. So the Complete Streets effort continues to allow us to redesign our streets, but that is a phased in project because it's very costly to do. And so what you'll see, not just downtown, but citywide, is us continue to focus on complete street efforts. How are you making sure all 99 neighborhoods are seeing the benefits of the city budget, not just the more visible parts of town? Well, again, follow us on all our communication channels. But a week and a half ago, we dropped street paving as an example. Street paving is at the heart of neighborhood revitalization because so many streets are so old, they haven't been taken care of for so long. You pull out of your driveway, you pull out of your whatever, your garage, you pull off your street, or whatever you park your car. By the way, don't park it on the grass. That's stupid, dumb, and illegal. Don't do that. But wherever else you park your car legally, when you pull off, you know how long it's been since your street has been repaid. So if you go on our city's website right now, if you look on our city channels right now, if you look literally on the City of Birmingham channels right now, you will see neighborhoods and streets that haven't been paved in years. They're on the list. So street paving is the number one way we make sure that everyone is getting love, because that is at the heart of neighborhood revitalization. But the same thing is for traffic calming. The same thing is for blight removal. The same thing for something I forgot to talk about, weed abatement. We're putting $3 million in this budget just to cut private lots that are not the city's responsibility. I repeat, private overgrown lots are not the city's responsibility. It is your absentee neighbor's responsibility. But it takes a while to hunt them down. It takes a while to walk out that process. And then when we cut it one time, it's hard to get back because there's too many of them in our city. By the way, just for the month of May, 23 days, it has rained well over 10 of those days, which makes the city get behind in cutting our city right away and cutting city parks and cutting city property. And so you add on top of that, the absentee owner not doing their part, it just makes the situation so complicated. But for this complication, this budget includes, a proposed budget includes $3 million just for private lots, which, by the way, I don't have a desire to do. I'd rather put that, your public tax dollars, towards city right away and city property, not your neighbor's private property. But here we are, and we'll continue to do our part. Let's see. There's a question about what is being done to support small businesses. We're going to continue to do the same thing we've done this year that we've done since we've been, since the administration has existed. But we can tag on like $6 million in supporting various small businesses and entrepreneurs throughout the last few years. This budget includes some additional funding and incentives to continue to support existing small businesses, legacy businesses, as well as new entrepreneurs as well, because that's our role. There's a relationship here between the city government and small businesses that we co-depend on each other. So we'll continue to support small business. The question is there funding in this budget for climate or sustainability work? The answer is yes. There's somewhere between an additional $200,000 to $300,000 to support sustainability just for this 1 year. That's not every year going forward, just for this 1 year. We believe, let's see, set a passcode. All right. You're going to have to, somebody's going to have to come back and let me in so I can keep going these questions. But while this is being set up again, let me finish answering the question around sustainability. In a city like Birmingham, Alabama, founded in 1871, we know why we were founded, based on our natural resources that allowed us to produce steel. But when we think about brownfields that exist in our city, we think about our city's infrastructure. When we think about so many industries and the pollution that was created, when we think about the health of our citizens, all of that and so many things I did not name support focusing on resiliency and sustainability. We have a team member, it's Ms. Sherry Lee, who's doing amazing work to help us co-create um, this conversation around what does sustainability look like, not just internally, but for our entire city and all 99 neighborhoods, because that's something we need to focus on. I am going to switch, if you don't mind, to the cell phone as we get this iPad up. So bear with me. See if there are any questions yeah. 1 second, everybody. I'm looking for more questions. Oh, here we go. We got the iPad back working. There was a question about our city employees getting raises. The answer is yes. Again, I spoke to this earlier, but city employees who are those eligible will get in this proposed budget 5% merit pay, longevity pay, as well as a 1% cost of living adjustment. In addition to that, the employer, which is the city of Birmingham, is absorbing the additional healthcare costs at $3.6 million. You talked about homelessness. What about folks who are just, here we go. You talked about homelessness. What about folks who are just housing insecure? What's the city doing to support affordable housing in general? Man, that is a really, really great question. So one of the things is, for a couple years, we had funding to support those who were housing insecure in the form of helping pay rent. That funding came from some American Rescue Plan dollars. The unfortunate part is we've run out of those dollars. But since then, we've also considered, particularly for some of our seniors and our elders in our community, how do we support those who may not have insurance or may not have family or may not have a church or an organization to help them. Through some community development block grant dollars, put about $1 million in critical repair program that allows us to support, again, a homeowner, a senior who may need some roofing repair or HVAC or their porch or windows, etc. This program, there's always more needs than there are funds for this program, which creates a huge gap. We continue to try to get creative to fund this program. The best way is through partnerships. So shout out to the churches, the nonprofits, and the for-profit organizations who co-partner with the city of Birmingham to help us with our critical repair program. And if you want to be a part of that program, please reach out to us. See if you can make an impact on helping a senior or elder in our community. How can people find out more about the budget if they have more questions? So we post all the budget documents online. You can always email us. There's a process on the website that tells you to email your questions. You can call us. You can schedule a meeting in the mayor's office. The city council has a process over the next 4 or 5 weeks where they'll do a proposed budget town hall. You can come with any questions you may have or issues you may have related to the budget. Is there any money in the budget for park and recs? Yes, park and rec budget is going up $3 million to support a lot of things, supporting our youth activities, the actual existing facilities, et cetera, and programs. So we're very excited about our partnership with Shanae Bennett and the Park and Rec Board. They lead park and recreation efforts. And I'm just excited about the direction they want to take Park and Rec, which also includes a study for how do we better use our facilities and our parks in our city. There's a question about what's going on with Birmingham Waterworks. Come on, y'all. We're having a good Saturday morning. Y'all want to pull this in here? Here's a short version. Like you, I struggle with the waterworks. My bill is wrong. I don't like their politics and an assortment of other things that I disagree with. But what the state has done is not right either. And what they did was a taking. They did it under lies. They talked about our quality of water. Our quality, they said it was bad. It's not true. They said we were like Flint or Jackson, Mississippi. I take offense to that because that has some racial undertones to it. We're nothing like their water issues, not even close, and mismanagement of money. None of those things were true. What I'll say is this: there are a lot of public utilities in the state of Alabama, local utilities. None of them are appointed by the governor or lieutenant governor. If anything, what I am really fighting for, and the only thing I care about, is the ratepayer who lives in the city of Birmingham that makes up 44% of the actual ratepayers. At minimum, this board should have representation that reflects that 44, and it doesn't. There are a lot of other things that I take issue with this bill. And so I only care about the ratepayer. But I want people to know this. Your bill is going to continue to go up, not because of the waterworks. Your bill is going to keep going up because of your sewer bill. But the waterworks is not responsible for the sewer. The Birmingham Waterworks is only bills on behalf of the Jefferson County Commission. The Jefferson County Commission is responsible for the sewer. So when you got a problem with your sewer, there's been only one person fighting for you on the county commission. Only one. And that is Commissioner Sheila Tyson. I believe that's one of the reasons why she was appointed to the Waterworks, because she's an actual fighter and champion for the ratepayer. Everyone else, I don't know, my friend. But that is a different question. There's a new county commissioner. He recently won, and I think he is definitely working with Commissioner Tyson, and he's advocating for and fighting on the ratepayers' behalf. And those two are doing an amazing job. With that said, I think I have one more question here, and then we're going to close this live up. It says, how does the city decide where to spend money in each neighborhood? The truth is, this is a very data-driven lens. We get council feedback. That's one. We get residential feedback. That's two. And then three, there's an assessment of kind of like where issues are in the city. And so all those things are definitely driven not necessarily by politics, but where the issues are. They're not driven by a squeaky wheel. It's an equitable lens. So we try to spread out resources throughout the entire city. That tends to work for us. So as we come to a close, I know I have talked a long time. I'm grateful for those who chimed in, checked in, and got a chance to hear more detail about this proposed budget. One. Two, you had any questions? Three, if I didn't get to your question, let's be sure, team, we answer their questions. The last thing I'll say, stay tuned for next steps as it relates to the budget. Again, you can find more information at birminghamal.gov related to this proposed budget. I want to thank those who tune in to listen related to what we're doing to make our neighborhoods better, what we're doing to support all of our residents. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday as well as your extended weekend. By the way, city offices are closed Monday with the exception of 911, police, and fire. Therefore, do not place your trash outside because we will not be picking it up. But you will have a makeup day that week. So be safe this weekend, everyone. Thank you.